Hey friends, welcome back. I'm Jason Salyer, and I'm getting geared up for 1,000 miles of off-road riding in a little place called Baja. And I'm really excited about it, and I've got to do a lot of things to get prepared for it. A bunch of things I need to modify on this motorcycle. This is a 2017 KTM 350 EXC-F. A really fantastic motorcycle, stock as is. However, it just, as it is stock, it just won't do the riding that I want to do in Baja. For example, what I'm going to be doing today is installing this 3.1 gallon aftermarket Cherbys, I believe the way you pronounce it, tank on there, because I need to go a minimum of 150, 160 miles between gas stops. And with this little I think it's 2 stock tank, there's just no way it's not going to happen unless I carry all kinds of reserve supplemental tanks, little reserve bottles and stuff with me, or bladders, that kind of stuff. And I don't want to do that. I'd rather have it all kind of centrally located, nice and low on the motorcycle in a gas tank, where it's just going to be more convenient that way. So I'm going to be swapping this thing out. That's going to be step one. I'm going to be doing a more comfortable seat, because I'm going to be putting a lot of hours in on this thing, and a comfortable seat is going to be pretty important to me. Changing the tires out for training riding between now and then, because I've got about 5 months until that happens. Just a bunch of little things I'm gonna be doing with it, and I'd really appreciate if you guys hang out with me while I do it, and we can have some nice chats. So first thing I got to do is I got to start taking apart all this stuff here and access the tank itself and unhook the fuel lines and whatnot. So hang on. So something attempting to do, and what I've done in the past is with motorcycles especially, is I try to put together a kit that is kind of all-encompassing, where I can pretty much completely disassemble the motorcycle and put it back together and make all repairs needed in the field with a small kit like this. This is the one that came with it. Came with the motorcycle. For the most part, I've added a couple things like an extra tire iron here, a tire spoon. And then I'm going to be using this while I work on the motorcycle. I think that's an important aspect of it, because what's going to happen while I work on the bike is that I'm going to discover tools that I don't need. I'm going to discover tools that work well and tools that don't work well that I could replace with something better. Like, for example, this is one of my tire spoons that I put in here. This is the one it comes with. It only comes with one. And if you've ever tried to change a tire on a motorcycle, you know that one just really doesn't get the job done. You need a couple of them, so a minimum of 2. And I might be replacing these with some lightweight aluminum tools if possible. So just kind of upgrading as I go, as I discover what works the best for the motorcycle. But pretty good kit that comes with the motorcycle. It comes with all kinds of little sockets, all the little torque head bits, star drive bits, whatever you want to call them, that fit all of the various parts on the motorcycle. And I think that that's a pretty handy thing. So good little kit. Even comes with a little spoke wrench, which is handy. I don't really believe in buying new stuff for the most part, because the new stuff is just so overpriced. And you can find a relatively new motorcycle like this one. This is only had about 50 hours on it. You could find a relatively new motorcycle for much less. Way better bargain than the new ones. This one's basically just broke in at 50 hours. Plus, it's already got some scuffs and scratches on it. And then that way you don't have to be so cautious with them. When you got brand new something, you feel like you gotta, baby it. And this one, I don't think I'm gonna have to do that. I'm gonna go ahead and ride it. I might swap this out for a small ratchet, and I might swap it out for a torque wrench ratchet, basically. So I can maybe kill 2 birds with 1 stone. This is a nice little deal, a nice little handy thing, but I might upgrade. I generally like to put the nuts and bolts and screws and things in order of removal, and it helps me just put things back a little bit more efficiently. The multi-tool is almost always in my pocket, and I use this thing. This is a Leatherman Wave Plus. I use this thing every day. The pliers a lot. The knife, obviously, I use quite a bit. But this is probably something that I'm going to be adding to the kit because when I ride, I don't typically like to have a lot of stuff in my pockets. I might keep it in my pocket, but you never know. So I might be adding this Leatherman to the actual toolkit itself. Another quick tip, like for example, I just dropped one of these tiny little bolts that holds the plastic on. Just dropped it. If I was to drop that on the gravel, I don't have the luxury of a paved garage here. I'm just working in my barn for the most part with stuff scattered about. But if I was to drop one of those little gray screws on the gray rocks, they tend to disappear, so I always work on top of a mat. So if you're in a similar situation, make sure you put your motorcycle on top of something, so when you drop the tiny little things, which you will, you don't lose them completely. So as I'm working on this thing, guys, and you're joining along with me, make sure you hit that thumbs up and leave me a comment. They make a pretty awesome plastic kit for this thing, so I can replace all of the body plastic on it with either like a desert tan or possibly a gray, like a matte kind of gray. Let me know in the comments what you think. Should I keep it the stock orange or should I go a little bit more gray man and camo it up a little bit? I thought about just spray painting it, but then, you know, it gets scratches and it won't look that nice. So I want to make it look relatively clean and stock for the most part. But I think a nice desert tan or that gray would be pretty sweet. So let me know in the comments what you think. Should I do that or not do that? I've been riding the Japanese bikes for my whole life, but I'm fairly new to these orange Austrian fancy machines. I've always wanted one, but I always thought, you know, they're so expensive. Are they really worth the extra money? I don't know yet because I'm not super experienced on this thing. I haven't ridden it that much, but from what I can tell so far, the little bit of riding that I've done on it, they're made really well. Like everything, even the welds on the frame are really perfect. They take that little extra touch, you know. The fuel line connections, instead of using those, you know, regular hose clamps kind of deals, which is nothing wrong with those, but they've got this fancy kind of quick release one here that I'm not so sure about yet. Just hope I don't get any in my eyeball. There we go. And this has an actual fuel pump on the in the tank, which is kind of new to me as well. So I am, and always have been, a do-it-yourselfer. You know, I always like to do things myself, if possible. You know, sometimes it just takes really specialized tools and whatnot and know-how to do a job. But for the most part, good grief, shh, zip it. But for the most part, if you do things yourself, you work on your own machines like this motorcycle, for example, you're going to be much more capable of taking care of any issues in the field. So if I'm out in the middle of absolute nowhere, which I plan on being on this thing a lot, not just for the Baja trip, I need to understand the ins and outs of how to work the machine. Gosh, shush. Psh. 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 Trying to make a video, chicken. Zip it. Crazy chicken. Anywho, something else that I'm new to is these fuel injected motorcycles. This is one of those fancy electronically fuel injected deals, and I'm learning all about these things. There's a lot of things that I just do not know. I'm used to carbureted motorcycles, old school kind of stuff, and I'm just now coming around to apparently the modern era of the fuel injected dirt bike. Kitty, kitty, kitty. Man, what a beautiful day it is. Holy crap. Oh, it's just, leaves are just now starting to change. Just now. We had a couple of nights in like the 40s, so everybody will be coming up here to look at the pretty leaves pretty soon. All right, so this puppy comes with a kit. I'm gonna see which parts we need to reuse and which parts we need to use off the old tank. And we'll see. It says for off-road use only. We'll pretend that we didn't see that. And I think it's gonna be pretty simple. We'll see. Kit comes with some sort of paper with some sort of symbols and drawings and things on there. I'm not sure what that's for, so we're just gonna discard that. Looks like perhaps the most difficult portion of this whole process is going to be getting this fuel pump assembly deal back in there. Look at that. That was actually really easy. That just popped right in there. Before I do that, I'm just going to use some carb cleaner here and just clean off all this stuff. Fuel lines are pretty important to keep clean. So I'm going to do everything I can to make sure it stays that way. Check the O-rings and stuff. Everything seems to be pretty good. And these really coarse screws thread right into the plastic on the tank, which I am not a huge fan of, but I guess it is what it is. Just gotta be careful not to over tighten them, that's all. So I've run into my first issue here. So the new tank comes with this, which is shallower than this, because the stock tank over there is actually thicker where the connection is at the fuel line. So, but it does not, the new kit does not come with a new O-ring here. So I'm hoping I can just get this one out, clean that up, and use it here. I think I could probably make that work. All right, so my plan for using the existing bolt and fuel fitting is just not working out. I'm running out of threads now and it's still not tightening up because the thickness of the tank is just not the same, and it's, yeah, long story short, it's not working. There we go. That looks good. I love riding motorcycles. I mean, I tell you, I've never felt more free, I don't think, than when I'm just on some desolate road somewhere on top of one of these kind of machines. Yeah, I know they're dangerous. You don't have to tell me about that. I get it. Probably nobody knows it more than me. My grandfather, who I called Papa, was killed riding a bad boy, kind of like this one. And we were best friends, and that crushed me pretty good. So I understand the dangers and the risks and stuff, but man, life is too short not to live it up. So that's something else I'm going to have to add to the kit, is just a Phillips head bit. Like this screw, for example, I'll probably never have to remove, but the battery terminals, for example, are used Phillips heads or maybe number 8s. So I guess I could get away without having it, but it'd probably be a good idea to include it anyway. I've got 3.1 gallons of freedom on there, and that's going to be able to get me from A to B much more effectively. So here's the solution that I came up with. I used the what do you call it? The outlet that came with the tank itself, with the new tank, which comes straight down. I would prefer a 90, something that kind of kicks in a little bit and would be less exposed here. This seems a little bit vulnerable, so I might opt for to install a 90 at one point. But I found I came up with some hose, some fuel line, and I've connected it directly to here, so I don't have any junctions or anything like that. It's a simpler setup, but it makes it a little bit harder. I've got these hose clamps that are a little bit trickier than that just quick disconnect thing. So when I need to take the tank off for whatever reason, this will take a little bit longer, but not that big a deal. So that's what I've got going on right now. But more importantly, I think what we need to discuss, and I need your help in the comments, is what do we name this motorcycle? I'm leaning towards Clark. Now hear me out before you shut it down. Hear me out. It's a 350, okay? It's a KTM 350, and 350 makes me think of small block Chevy, Chevrolet, Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase played in Christmas Vacation, and his character in that movie was Clark Griswold. So let's go with Clark. Let me know what you think in the comments if you got a better name, but I think we might go with Clark. See you guys.